turn the mic off.
I know.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, is it going to be that fast? We're just on there.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I don't know if it takes a minute in the worldwide interweb to...
It does.
Well, we've only done this a couple times. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave. This is Rachel.
Hello.
And we come to you every week with content. This week, it's live.
We're live.
So live. This is real. It's good to get a chance to chat with people. I know it was short notice. We didn't really put a lot out there about it. Hello. I can't really track on talking and then reading, so Rachel's going to do the reading part.
Yes, I can read. Believe it
I'm
or
not hating or anything. I just if I do that, I can't do this. So yeah, we decided to do this week. We love the community, and we really enjoy having these conversations like we're going to have today. I typically try to put out a video every week, and we have some stuff that we're putting together right now. So we're making some videos. This is our video this week, though. It's just chatting, answering some questions that people ask us. We do get asked a lot of questions, and it's nice to have the opportunity to kind of chat in this kind of format. And hello, everyone that's coming on. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Thank you very much.
Yes, hello, everybody.
So we Rachel put something up on Instagram. Talk about that real quick.
I did. I just put a question blank on Instagram asking you guys to ask us questions that you had about comic books, about us, about the business, like whatever you guys want to know more about.
Yeah.
And I have some of those printed off, and we're going to answer some of them.
And if we have time, we may answer some questions that pop up with you guys. I know that if you happen to be pop in and you don't normally watch the type of content that we have, we do comic book content. It's a little bit different. We're not the 10 hottest books this week type channel. It's not that I don't pay attention to that. Every week I actually do. And I watch a lot of other content, and I have for years. Actually, YouTube is my streaming platform of choice, has been for a long time. So I watch a lot of different content. We really focus on this kind of stuff that we also sell, which is Bronze and Copper Age primarily. Doesn't mean we don't have a ton of silver and we have a ton of modern and we still sell stuff like that. It's really not where my personal heart is and the reason I do this for a living. I really wanted to sell things I like. And if that's possible, then it's going to happen. And that's kind of what we do. Most of the stuff I sell, I actually like. And they're books that I get and I understand. There's things that I don't really care that much about, but I really don't like dealing with it. You know, I don't buy things I don't know a lot about, unless I buy a big collection. So we were at a point in our selling that we really didn't have anything for like dollar boxes or anything else. I really buy high grade books, and I put them all away. And I've been known to, I can sit on a comic book. However, the last few collections we bought, there was a lot of stuff that is lower grade than we like to deal with. So I've been able to put together dollar boxes and do things like that at conventions, and that stuff sells, you know. It's just not what my focus is. It's not where my passion is, but it sure is nice to sell a comic book rather than leave it in a box, you know, that I'm not going to mess with. So, you know, we're just starting to kind of get into that. It shows people are looking for values, and I think the hunt of going through a box, I make sure to spike my boxes with like books that are worth money. You know? I'd like someone to look through and say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I put that book in there because it has a color breaking corner or stain on it, or, you know, it's still worth $10, but it's not worth me trying to sell and tell someone, hey, this has a stain on the back or whatever. So, before I go off on any more of that rant, I just kind of wanted to introduce you to what we do.
So loud.
We am I?
No, I laughed and it went red. So
okay, watch the meter.
A microphone meter.
Laugh.
No.
Okay, just
No.
So
Don't touch it.
no touchy. We do live claim sales every week, and we really enjoy that. We've been doing it for about 9 months, and we've been doing it very successfully. That's primarily how we do it. We sell books on shortboxed, and we just yesterday started putting books on Instagram one at a time. I've done it before. Our model's changed a little bit. I try to be under market on everything I sell. But I also kind of focus on really high grade stuff. So it's, we're kind of right there in the middle. I'm not looking to sell, my first appearance of Thanos or huge books. That's kind of not what I'm doing. I'm trying to put books out there I think people can afford and people like, and then I might be able to give a good deal on. It seems like everyone's interested in a good deal.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Not me. I just want, I'm not. When I'm looking for a comic book, it's not a good deal kind of comes into the landing pattern. First, it's the book. Second, it's the grade, right? Page quality, the strike, all this stuff. And then it's like, how much is it? Now that all happens in a fraction of a second sometimes. Look at a book, wow, this is really high grade. Thumb through, wow, it's got nice white pages. I like where the staples are. How much? So it's more at that speed. But I've paid over market for books, more than the last person spent. But it's really for a lot of reasons usually. This book's super hard to find raw. This book in raw and grade. This book graded cost X, so if I can get it raw for a different price, it's not always about the price. Like I said, I have paid multiples at times. It just depends on what you're talking about in terms of like what you're buying. So I'm not always looking for a deal. I think I'm looking for the book more than the deal most of the time. Most time. There are times I'll buy a collection and it's a good deal for me because I can do something with that. But I really would like to buy collections that are more about the quality of the books as well. Would I pay more? Every time. It's this analogy. It's no different than someone who runs a taco stand or a steakhouse. As someone, your margin in a steakhouse is much less. You're going to make less profit, but you make more money because the steak costs more than the hamburger. So you might make more money, less margin. I like the less money, more margin part, but I really like good margins too. So there are people that want to buy cheaper books, and tend to not be what I like to collect and what I get passionate about. But hey, man, I get so many of them, and there's so many people that would like to just own that book. It's an expensive hobby. It's a really expensive hobby. So especially if you like more than one thing. If all you like is Amazing Spider-Man and you have a pool box, even then I bet you got more than one book a month in it. You probably got 8. So we have some questions.
Yes. I know you started talking about Instagram and then you talked about that. Did you want to talk about our horror sale coming up?
Oh, we can. Yeah.
Okay.
We're having, we do a live claim sale every Monday.
Yes.
And then this month, what are we doing?
On October 24th, we're doing an all horror sale over on Instagram, Bronze Age Horror, October 24th, which is a Tuesday.
Yep.
So we talk about horror comics all the time.
Yeah.
If you guys want to follow us over there, we do claim sales every Monday, and then we're going to do one on Tuesday.
Which is interesting. So I talk about them because I like them, and because that's what I collect, and it's what I'm always looking at. So I talk about them. And then I think people made put it together that if I'm always talking about them, I must always be selling them. Incorrect.
We do get people asking about it every single sale. Like, do you have the horror books?
So the fact is some of these are so hard to find, and it's in one of our questions. I'll drill into it in a moment. They're so hard to find and grade that finding one is the challenge. I've waited years. There's books I haven't even seen a copy yet that's in the grade I'd like, which is typically 9.2, 9.4, 9.2, less than 9.4. 9.4 seems to be the highest grade you can get in some of these books. Mm-hmm. Am I willing to spend the money? Oh, I have.
We have.
I've spent a lot of money on single copies of these books, and that's why if somebody asked me, hey, are you going to sell this? It's like, I'm still in it. I don't even know if I can make a profit, because it wasn't so much about making a profit on those books. I think long term they'll be profitable for me. Short term, they're not replaceable. There's some books I could sell. There's not another copy. I'm not going to see another copy come up. It could be for years. So, but we do get a lot of people asking. So what I did is, for months, Rachel and I, we would get these horror comic books and put them away. Just put them away. And we're going to have one sale and hopefully be able to hit a lot of spots for people, because we're going to have some really high-grade, harder-to-get stuff. We're also going to have some mid-grade keys, first appearances, or really sought-after books. So I think you guys will enjoy it if you like that type of comic book, and it's on a Tuesday. We're usually on a Monday, so the whole thing, we have hundreds of books to go through.
It'll be fun. We'll sell some on Monday too. We're selling a little bit every Monday.
Yeah, I'm selling some outside of that as well. The Monday
October time.
All month we celebrate Halloween.
Which is my favorite.
That's how Rachel likes to celebrate her birthday.
That's how I like to celebrate everything.
This is my birthday month.
If you're asking questions in the chat, I'm writing them down, so we will answer them. I'm going to start with the questions. Yeah, thanks for asking them.
Yep.
I'm going to start with the questions that we asked on Instagram for people to ask us. I'll just start out with this first one. Did each one of you collect comics, or did one of you get the other into it? I feel like if you've been watching our channel for a while, you already know the answer to that, which is I didn't collect comic books at all.
Have you ever read a comic book?
I have read a comic book.
I mean, before you were here, do you have any memory of reading a comic book?
Not a comic book. I read manga.
Yeah.
Which is like a Japanese comic book,
Kind of.
But I never read a comic book before.
Right. So she remembers, Rachel remembers me collecting. She remembers me dealing with comics, and she remembers me selling when she was a kid. What I did is I actually decided to do this for a business, and Rachel said she would like to help, and I let her help for one day, and I told her, "Look, how about if I pay you, and then you can help like this many?" And she was going to like donate her time for a period of time because she's a good daughter, but it started out half time, and she had a good job. She still does because now it's full time. And she's awesome to work with, and this has just been so rewarding, not only working with my daughter, but getting to know her and how she thinks and how she does business. This has been a really good partnership. So I'm glad she's working with me. I have a couple other people now that I've brought on, and there's a question in a minute that we'll get to on that. But I've been into comics since I was a little kid. I've collected, I've read, I've sold, I got the selling fever, I got the spec fever, all that stuff.
He said all the fevers.
If there, I was FOMO before FOMO was cool. So I've been doing this since I was a little kid.
And you stopped for about 20 years.
And I just completely stopped. I'd say 20 years. It might have been less. It might have been 17 or 18. And then I picked it back up about 4 years ago, and I've been doing this full time now. We're going on 2 years, so I was doing it part time before that for a few months, and left a very good career that I had a long history at. That I'd kind of accomplished what I wanted to accomplish in that career, and now I'm in this career. So while I told people that I was retiring from the industry I used to be in, they mistook that for me retiring.
All the way retiring.
Pardon me.
He did not retire. He transitioned.
Yeah. If this is retirement sucks.
Retirement's so
I
hard.
love this as work, but not because I work a lot of hours and a lot of time. And anyway, I've been doing this for a long time.
Someone asked if we carry Golden Age comics, if we get them in a collection. We don't focus or specialize in Golden Age at all.
Right.
So.
I wouldn't say it's not on my radar. I will tell you, if I'm looking through boxes at a convention, I don't look through Golden Age boxes.
Yeah, I don't pick up the Disney books.
See, I have friends, they only look through Golden Age boxes, right? So it really does seem to me that the hobby, if you're a Golden Age collector, you probably really focus on Golden Age. And if you don't collect Golden Age, you probably don't look at it that much. There are some people that collect everything, and I get that, but for me, I would buy a collection of all Golden Age all day long, and I am aware of Golden Age. I understand values, not as much as I am in other eras, but I have a lot of friends, and I have a network of people that can help me out. I'm always learning about it. If you had a Golden Age collection, I'd want to look at every one of them.
Yeah, you know? Depending on what they are. And all
that. So I enjoy looking at books, and I enjoy learning about books. It's just not what we focus on. I have a couple of books that are pre-code, but like in the 40s and stuff, I don't have a lot of stuff like that personally. When I say I don't have a lot, I don't have 3 books like that.
Yeah. Someone asked, when reselling comics, you kind of mentioned this earlier, what amount of margin is necessary in order to realize a sustainable profit? That's a really, really good question.
It is. And it's a very responsible question, because I think sometimes people might go at that without a lot of business experience. So for me, I really about half of everything I make is an overhead. And I haven't scaled to the point. If you scale and your sales continue to rise and your overhead does not in terms of labor, expenses related to the business, if those expenses are pretty static, then that percentage can continue to diminish if you make more money. So I haven't gotten to that point yet. So it's costing me about half of everything of the income I bring in is outside of the expenses related to it. I'm not even including the price of the book. In order for me to sell a book, it costs me half of basically what profit I would be making. Gross profit, not net profit. So I think it's a huge swing from person to person. If you do this all by yourself and you can scale, in other words, somebody buys books this week, you're not shipping them a month from now. If you want to run a business that's efficient and effective, I think that you would max out at a certain point of what you could accomplish in any given week. If all you're doing is taking books, selling them, and not grading them or pressing and cleaning them or doing any service to the book, maybe not even changing the bag, I think you could sell more books, but they would sell for less. And you're not necessarily maximizing your profit. So there's a lot of different views on how to sell books, a lot of really successful people out there. There are people that operate primarily on their website. There's people that operate primarily at conventions. There's people that operate like Rachel and I through claim sales and going to one-day shows and things like that. I used to sell a lot of books at auction. That can be a really dangerous thing in a market that is declining. So I realized some real low gains, even some losses on doing that. And completely backed out. And I did okay on some books, but some books I absolutely did not do okay on. So it was a good experience, and I will probably do some of that in the future, but probably not nearly as much as I had in the past.
Yeah, very selective on the type of auction books we would send out.
So there's not one answer. I do think that whatever you can scale to by yourself is the best way to get in. Don't under leverage yourself with cash. Make sure you have plenty of cash to have inventory. It's not a great thing to have to sell what you just bought every time you buy it. You definitely want to have a back stock. And one of the things I did, I invested a lot for 2 years in creating back stock before I even started this. So what I'm selling today is a little different than what I had originally intended to sell, which is really high-grade slab books. I could go back to that route. It's a lot more work-intensive.
And it takes a lot more time to get the books back.
I might have a challenge if I did that now in having a staff.
Yeah.
Because the money would go down significantly for longer periods of time. Because it might take 6 to 8 weeks. When CGC was taking 9 months to get books back,
gosh, yeah.
It crippled me. I mean,
there's
all kinds of things I had that were at their highest prices or whatever. And by the time I got the books, they were practically worthless. And that's been a really interesting ride too. So I think if you're planning on selling comic books, crystallize an idea, a strategy, a way you want to do it, and make sure the goal is wide and not narrow. In other words, have a vision for 2-3 steps down the road. Because like Rachel had mentioned when we were having a conversation the other day, she goes, everything we're doing is completely different than we set out to do. And what I reminded her was every goal that I set, we achieved. Every single one of them.
We just had to go a different way to get there.
Yeah, it's called, hello, my Marine friends, adapt and overcome. It's like setting a goal that you go towards and then working towards achieving the goal rather than achieving every step of it. So if we were focused on only doing graded books and only 9.8, 9.6 highest grade, that dog won't hunt. Those things were going down. Some of them really just completely fell out of what people are buying. But going to raw books means actually the sales would go down significantly in terms of how much I get for the same book. If it was slabbed, I'd get more. But my expenses go down. So then the goal would be to sell more books, and we do. So it's really about the how many books we can sell and what we can bring in every month. And another thing to always consider if you're going to be in the comic book business is understand that reinvestment in your product is incredibly important. So
that's your whole business.
Yeah,
the product.
So if you have whatever it is, 1,000 widgets, and those widgets, you're selling the widgets, and all widgets don't sell for the same thing. And you're kind of gutting that out. What are you going to sell next month? What are you going to sell 3 months from now? And that's really the way I think the most successful people operate, is that at scale, if I'm reaching my goals, how long will I last with this inventory? And that's why we're always buying collections. I really need to buy at least one collection a month. And when I say a collection, I'm talking more than 100 books. But even 100 books, if they're the right books and the right price, I think would work. So tough question to answer in one thing, but I do think there's some principles that you might be able to glean on that I just described.
Yeah.
That would be really helpful if you're trying to sell books. I sold books on eBay, did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
The expenses were really tough. And then the shipping is just problematic in terms of how much time it took me personally, especially when you're stringing sales out.
One book at a time.
All of a sudden you sell things. I don't know if any of you have ever had to pack up 30 packages in one day. It doesn't sound like it would be a lot of labor. It actually is a lot of labor if you do it right, and you're using the right type of cardboards and folders, and you send an invoice and blah blah, and you don't have software doing all that work for you. It's a lot of work.
It is.
So I have a team of people that, like, on a given Tuesday that we ship, we might have 3 people working on that all day. Think about it, that's 24 labor hours. Well, if you were going to do that, that's 3 days of labor. Or if you cut corners, then the customer can suffer from that by books getting damaged, which has happened to us very rarely. So we're way under 1% in damage and return rates. A very small fraction of 1%. Because we take our time and we do it right. I think building a business also is focusing on quality, service, relationships, pricing, how people will view you. I want people to understand that we're fair, that we're easy to deal with, that we're also reliable, and that's huge in any business. But comic books are not excluded from that. So, did I have anything you want to add to that piece of it?
No, I think you said all the things.
I said a lot.
I'll go to the next question. How do you make a decision to buy a collection? It kind of goes into the same thing.
Yeah.
And its size. And the other part is, do you provide cleaning and pressing services? Which the answer to that is no. We do not provide cleaning and pressing services.
No, yeah.
But as far as like buying collections, how do you make a decision to buy a collection?
Well, and I think those two things can be related, because sometimes if you were to buy a large collection and there's some great books in there, but they need a clean and a press for some very correctable issues with them, sending them out can be incredibly expensive. And then a lot of them that you might want to get cleaned and pressed, you don't, because the expense just doesn't make it worth it. I think that people don't realize that even if you were paying $6 a book, which it seems very cheap, if they're cleaning it and actually working on the book rather than just throwing it in a press, because it takes time and labor, it adds up, especially if you had a couple hundred books. Usually if someone contacts me and they want to, and that's the way it works. Most time it's people contacting me one way or the other, either through our website or at a convention. I've had people reach out. We have a website, so reach out through Instagram, any way that we're out there, in the cognoscente, this group of like social media or website and our email. If they reach out and talk to me, I'll see what they have. And I'll try to figure out what they're trying, what they'd like to do, how much they want to get, what are they trying to do. Sell the whole thing? Are they ready to sell right now? So you work through those details. I'll buy just about anything if the price is right and it works for both parties. So there are some things I don't know how to sell very well. Like if I had a bunch of filler issues and someone just wanted to do it for $50 or something like that, even the shipping could eat it out of being, worth it if it was like on the other side of the country. So I don't mind even helping people out. When I talk to them, I'm usually really transparent about, I might not be the ideal person. I've even told people to go to another person and told them who to go to. I think that, everything we do, these transactional situations that we're in this business, need to be transformational to a degree. Because transactions are necessary. Transformation is what keeps me alive. So having thoughtful, mindful conversations with people, letting them know that they can trust who they're talking to, and that I don't have to have their books, and I'm not trying to steal them out from under them. So yeah, I've bought collections with 6,000-7,000 books. Negotiated collections with more than that. I would buy 100,000 books if the deal worked out for both of us. So I bought collections with half a short box. But I think that's what it is just how can you attract people to you. And I was talking with a friend of mine today, and shout out to Jeff. And we were talking about Facebook Marketplace and Instagram and Craigslist and things like that. And the reason I personally don't really glean on all that is because I really don't want to be in a sharky environment where someone's trying to get the most they can, and then 10 people are trying to buy it, and I'm out. I just personally, I tell people, if you're interested in talking to someone, maybe talk to me when all this is over, or if you'd like to have a conversation now. But I'm not going to be in the middle of some ping pong match. I got 6 people on the line. Yeah, sell to one of them.
I'm talking to you and you're done talking to me.
I'm kind of out, So I really, at this stage in my life, I want to be happy and I want to be relaxed and I don't want to run around stressing out, So that's really important to me, is my peace of mind. And Rachel's peace of mind.
Please.
Our peace of mind.
Because getting a lot of comics is a lot of work.
She looks at these things very differently.
I look at the amount of time it's going to take for me to handle it.
And it's not like we have these long discussions. The last collection I bought was around 4,000 or 5,000 books, and they were landing here before I even got back. And Rachel's already unpacking them. So we didn't talk for a long time about when you get these. I'm like, can you get them in boxes? I mean,
please.
We spend just processing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask some questions that people have asked in the chat. We did a video on this, but you can kind of say what you think about it. But what are your thoughts on variants from the UK, and why are some of them valuable?
Variants? You mean
the UK price variants?
UK version of that book?
Yeah.
Never have liked those. I just always felt that they were not superior to what we were getting stateside. UK variants don't seem to carry the same panache in general as Canadian variants for some reason. As someone personally who's about the book, I'm not about that part of it. I know there are some ECs and some different things that UK variants are really desirable because they're a little bit more scarce. And I know there's people who really dig that, they want they want the Pence version or they want the Canadian version, and I get it. I'm not a competitor for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So if I get it, would I try to demand a premium? I would look at the market and see what it bears, but I don't necessarily chase after them. I've bought some in the past. We've picked some up. Mm-hmm. I think they're cool. I mean, we got a stack of Weird War Tales that are all Pence variants, and those are cool. I'll tell you what I got a stack, and if it wasn't a Pence variant of Weird War Tales, it was a Mark Jewelers. And just so you know, if it's a Pence variant, it can't be a Mark Jewelers. Those two things don't exist. But if it's a Pence variant, it's usually a newsstand, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
right?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I can say yes, but I don't know.
Act like you know it.
I know everything.
Yes.
It makes me think of Uncle Danny, because he collects those sugar and spikes, and there's only one other guy that collects them. It's I bet that there's 3 people out there.
That's not true.
That fight for them on auction houses.
He's found himself on the other side of the same guy.
But I feel like there's people like that collect Pence variants probably out there. This issue is the only Pence version of it, and I have all the Pence versions.
Well, let's say this. I bet you there's more people that collect Pence variants than Sugar and Spike.
Sorry, Uncle Danny.
and here's what's funny about that. Sugar and Spike, they're awesome. I mean, I appreciate those types of books. So, and they're really hard to get and grade. But I do think that there's a contingent of people out there that really like those books, and I totally support that. I've seen some Australian comics and Italian comics, comics from Mexico. They had different covers. I think all of those are cool. In my collecting world, I'm a little more finite than that. Not that I wouldn't pick something like that up because I like it, but we're not even talking about investment. I don't know if I'd invest in something like that. If I had a shot of having Swamp Thing 92, right? There was a Pence copy and there was just a regular copy. I'd be taking the American copy 100% of the time.
Are you talking about House of Mystery 92?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you said Swamp Thing. They knew.
First appearance of Swamp Thing in House of Secrets.
House of Secrets.
So if I had a chance to get that in either a Pence version, which I've never seen, I don't think, or the American version, I'd choose the American version every time because that's what I have nostalgia for. And I don't want that book because it's valuable. I'd want that book if it was $5. You see, because I like...
Too bad you didn't buy it when it was $5.
I don't know if I've ever owned a copy of that or not, but I can tell you that 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't nearly as expensive, not even to scale.
Yeah.
Back then. It was a gettable book. But it's always been popular, and people have always appreciated Bernie Wrightson art. And that was like the heyday, but those books were not incredibly expensive. There was things like Showcase, and there was totally different hot books 30 years ago than there is now.
Okay, I'm trying to see which question. We'll do more from the chat. Someone asked, what's your favorite book of all time, and what's your most valuable PC book?
Yeah.
That's like the hardest question to answer.
Yeah, and I should have thought of that before, because someone asked me that last time, I couldn't even answer it. But
I don't even know if there is an answer.
I have. Ask me if the book I'm looking at is my favorite a lot, and I'll tell you.
The one
yes.
that you want to buy right now, that's your favorite.
There's books that literally move me. I mean, in the way that art tends to do if you appreciate art at a high level. So there are books that I have like an emotional reaction to, and most of them, golly, I mean, I could show you 50 covers that are like that. Even some older stuff. There's some gold, some pre-code stuff that I feel that way about. In my PC, I would say it's not the most expensive book I have. I have things like a Hulk 181.
Yeah, someone asked what your most valuable PC book is. Separate from your favorite book.
It's probably right now my FF #1.
Or the Avengers 4.
My Avengers 4 is not as valuable. I have some valuable books that I 100% plan on selling. So they're not PC. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're not PC.
And when I talk about my PC, like the Hulk 181, I'll sell that.
It's probably a House of Mystery or something that you have. That's probably your most valuable.
No, it's going to be House of Mystery 175.
Yeah.
Because it's an impossible book to get. That is my #1 book.
Because it's a 9.4, right?
It's a 9.4
and white pages.
It's got white pages,
yeah.
and that's and really it's the white page part that I paid out of the teeth for, by the way. And there's a couple books like that. They might not mean a lot to other people, and they might only be worth $1,000 or $1,500. There's books I have that are worth $50 that I'm not. I love it. I mean, it's like I don't care how much it's worth. I love it. So I'm sure some of you are like that. It's not the value of a book. It's the fact that it's great when someone else finds value in something you do. Like, for instance, I listened to the band Riot, not Quiet Riot, Riot. When I wore a shirt on this channel a couple times for a Riot, and some people pointed that out. Well, I appreciate that about them because that is an obscure band that never made it. So they got to the brink and they just never they're still around but they never like were a top 200 album selling band. They were just a metal band back in the day. You know? Well, comic books are like that. Sometimes you think, you know, oh, I love this comic book, and a lot of people may not appreciate it, and all of a sudden someone comes by like, I love that book. That's what prices do. When the price is like this instead of like this, it means this book's heavily appreciated. So it almost makes you confident, like, well, I'm not the only one that loves this. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, someone asked another question, so I'm writing it down.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for the questions, too. And thanks for popping in the chat and saying hi. Someone asked Instagram versus YouTube. Instagram.
For what?
I imagine live streaming. I don't know. Because we love YouTube. Like, YouTube is how we really, like, started doing this. Is posting unboxings. We love this community.
Yeah.
For selling comics, Instagram.
Yeah.
Because YouTube has a lot of weird things with, like, being able to connect with people, and, like, it's not easy to contact people through YouTube if we need to reach somebody.
It's not a messaging mechanism that's not open to the public.
Yeah.
You know? So you have to, like, use other devices. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think YouTube, this is a community that we've been forging a relationship with for a couple of years.
And we love, like, you watch a lot of YouTube content for comic books, and, like, YouTube is really, like, again, like a heart of our community.
I watch YouTube content about everything.
Yeah, about the weirdest things.
Comic books is not excluded, yeah.
But Instagram is like kind of a separate entity.
If you ever want to know a lot about somebody, look at their YouTube feed.
They're recommended.
My wife looks at that like, what is this? But I like YouTube for doing exactly what we're doing today. And I really like Instagram as a place to sell because it's personal. We've gotten to know, some of the people that come on our claim sales, same people.
And they're in here right now.
Yeah, and some of you are here. So it's like, I really like having those types of relationships. And to me, that's really what it's about. I'd rather sell comics to the same people. I mean, I get it if you're one-off in it, but it's like, I'd like to become relied upon if people are looking for something. And I think that's a great place to do it. People kept asking us to go on Whatnot. And it's really, we lose a lot of control in Whatnot. I think that we might be able to garner a larger pool of people there, but I also think it's really flooded. A lot of people jumped ship from Instagram and went to Whatnot, which made availability on the ship for us. A friend of mine's been selling on Facebook for 4 years, been doing fantastic, ever since, I said 4 years, 3 maybe, since the pandemic. So, I didn't jump on Facebook. Instagram just kind of became a natural fit. And the funny thing is, I think we're going to surpass how many subscribers we have here with how many followers we have on Instagram, because in the last 9 months, we've picked up like 2,500. So it's creeping up on 3,000 right now, and I really see it continuing to grow.
It took us longer to get to that on YouTube. YouTube is also really weird with like the way they suppress content. Because I know like our videos will fluctuate like with who sees them. So
you guys hate us is what happens. It's like all of a sudden everyone wakes up like, we don't want to watch Dave and Rachel today. And then YouTube says, oh, they hate you, and they stop watching. Everyone stops watching. We get a video that has like 300 views.
That's never happened. Okay, but yeah, that's how I feel about that. How do you price low census books, less than 10 books on the census? That's also a very good question.
Well, it
also really depends on what book it is.
Yeah.
Because like what was a book that we looked at the other day? I can't remember. It wasn't it wasn't a key. Oh, it was an Unexpected.
Yeah.
That one that has the black and white on the cover. The Neil Adams, I think, cover.
Okay.
The In a Dream book. Do you know what I'm talking about?
But keep going.
It's really low census, and I remember I was trying to price it.
Yeah.
And you were like, it's low census because no one wants to slab this. Like, that it's not low census because it's rare.
Right.
It's just low census because no one cares to slab this book, so it doesn't make it more valuable or like...
I think there's a better question in there. Not that that's not a great question. The better question is, how did someone come up with that price? Because I'm telling you, I see things sometimes that are priced 5 times, 6 times what any rational human being would ever spend on that book. How do I know that? Well, that's a big piece of it. I do know that because I'm constantly looking at these books. So the book I just brought up, The House of Mystery 175. if you guess how much that book is, you're probably wrong, because unless you've been trying to buy one, you don't know. I think the more experience you have with actually buying comic books that you're trying to like figure out the price for, you will get closer and closer to understanding it. So there are some books, low census, and they're not in demand. And let's say there's only one sale and it was 8 years ago, and that's a really common. Oh, there's only been one sale, or there's slab copies and no one sold them. That's an indicator, right? It's an indicator because if you slabbed it and it's sitting in your collection ever since you got it slabbed, it's in the census, but there's no sales, is what that looks like. If you go on GP analysis, it doesn't show sales. If it has a census bar, it means there are slab copies. If you click on it, it shows you how many are slabbed. If people are slabbing books and not selling them, they might, be a book that they don't want to part with. Doesn't mean it's valuable. Mm-hmm. You really have to understand, like, okay, what series we're talking? We're talking Captain America, right? What issue of Captain America, and what was the last one? If you're seeing sales that were really low 5 years ago, is it valid now? It depends. Is it pre-code horror? Is it a good girl comic? Is it a romance comic? I really think you need to be really knowledgeable to price things. And we're learning about it all the time. On our claim sale, I do this all the time. I think I have these priced too high. Let me drop them and see if that's the issue. Most of the time it is. I think it compels people to spend money on a book because they know I just went way under value on it. And if it doesn't sell like that, I'm like, no, it's not the price. This group of people, they don't want this comic book.
That's why we have jokes about Commandy. Because we had one sale where no one wanted a Commandy. So we're like, okay, because no one likes Commandy or Nova.
Yeah.
Jim says hi. Hello, Jim. And also, Jose Jim said, I purchased adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters because of you.
Oh, good.
Which we never said was like a spin-off and a joke from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We never even mentioned that in the video.
We didn't get into that, but it's 100% rip-off. And I think it's cool.
It's so cool. I'm so glad we have. I see them all the time now at cons. Like, I see them everywhere.
Yeah.
They're out there.
There is something about once you see something,
Yeah.
If you're looking for a car and you decided on a blue car, all you see is blue cars. Well, comic books are like that. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, it's a deep, deep, deep well. I don't care what you're looking at. You have not touched the surface on comic books. you have not. It's like, oh, I know. And the people like Richard, who owns Bedrock Comics, he probably has seen everything.
That's so true.
My brother, up to a point, I don't think he's super new, right?
Yeah.
But man, you get him before 1992.
He knows it all.
Guy's a freaking wizard, So, I mean, he really does have a good, because he has an interest in comic books, period. He might fall apart a little bit on Jughead Digest, but that's probably like a narrow scope. Because remember, he does collect sugar and spikes, so that tells you something about him.
It tells you so much. All right, here's a good question. Brewfront asked this. He said,
"Brewfront,
black covers that are high grade. Why does it matter if they... Oh, let me go back to the actual question because I'm doing a really bad job.
That was awful.
That was really bad. I don't get why people say that it's hard to get black covers in high grade. I get that spine ticks are more noticeable on black books, but regarding grading, a tick crease is still a defect no matter the color of the book, and a good grader should catch that regardless. I can't imagine people treat their black covers worse than others." I think it's funny. I feel like it's like a comic trope that black covers that are no spine ticks are amazing and like...
That's your pet peeve, right?
I think so.
So that's your pet peeve. People say that, and you're like, well, no, a nickel is a nickel is a nickel.
Because he's not wrong.
Well, he's not.
That's not wrong.
I mean, let's drill down on it just for a second. So I've seen books, and let's agree first that spine ticks are not all equal. So if there's a spine stress line on a comic book, it can be thin, it can be short, it can be long. Can you have a color-breaking spine stress on a comic book in 9/8?
Color breaking?
Color breaking.
No.
I disagree. It depends how small it is. It depends where it is. So let's say that the book is otherwise literally a 9/9. Staples are perfectly centered. everything's right about this book, but it's got one small. Does that bring it down to a 9.4? Which in the Overstreet price guide it would say yes. In the real world, no. Now, if that little tiny spine stress lines on the back cover on the white, you can't notice it. And one of the things in the CGC grading guide that I would emphasize is how does the book look in hand before you grade it. So if you're looking at a book and you see visible spine stress on a dark cover, I don't know about you, my eyes go whoop. I see the spine stress.
Yeah, it just sticks out.
And that's why I'll make comments like that, and I stand by them, because the way a book looks, regardless of its grade, is incredibly important. I have seen 9.8s that look awful. I have. They look tired. They're off center. Sometimes profoundly. They don't look like they would be stiff in your hand. They look like they'd be like a soupy noodle. You know. You understand what I'm talking about. All books aren't exactly equal. And I really think when you grade a book, it has to be done holistically, that you look at the front and back cover. How does it present to my eyes and to my daughter's eyes? Now, the thing is that we immediately will go to things that we look for. So I don't know if you do this. I go to corners immediately, like corner.
I look the spine first.
So the spine, if I see spine wear, it will pull my eyes in. If there's nothing noticeable, I'll start looking at the corners because I find that the most. Spine stress, second. Sometimes you have like a spine stress line that you feel you can get out with a press and a clean. And as you work on it, you find out, it does break color. It didn't look like it did when I looked at it raw. So I think you're 100% right that it doesn't matter. I'll give you a better one, Brewfront. So how do you feel about someone saying this book is a near mint or a near mint minus?
It's one or the other.
It's no different, right? Because that's my pet peeve. So I'll give you yours. You got to give me mine. So, and notice we don't do that when we sell books. We try to drop it down to the lower grade.
We'll say it looks nicer than this grade, but...
Yeah, and it should look nicer in that grade. And a lot of times you're in mid-grade books when you're talking that way. Like, all the damage is on the back, and I happen to have a board on this one, so you can't see it. But I really think that those two things are very similar. It's invariably almost every time. I just bought some books on the CGC board, and the guy was 2 grading it. So I'm like, he says it's a near mint minus or a near mint. Okay, so does that mean it's a very fine near mint? And guess what? Some of them were. So it's like, I stay away from that.
Yeah.
I don't use that convention. I know people I respect that do. Because it's like, it's not a 9.4. It's not a 9.2. Let's call it a 9.3. Because, golly, it's just so close.
If only CGC did every single point.
So close doesn't work, my friends. And CGC, sometimes they get it wrong. Not often, but, I was watching a video and someone was very happy that CGC graded a book that had...
a corner-breaking fold.
I mean, hard fold.
Color-breaking, corner-breaking fold.
And he was happy about it. And I'm like...
That it got a 9.4,
It got a 9.4, and that it can't... I mean, that just does not compute.
That's crazy to me.
My only thing is, like, that's great. If I bought that, I'd be pissed. I don't expect that defect, and if I'm buying it in a format that doesn't have great pictures and I'm just trusting the label, so I don't get excited. Rachel and I used to talk about it. We used to get books in. They'd give us a higher grade, and we'd start tearing their grade apart. Well, this doesn't look like it. I mean,
we got a 9.6 with the color breaking fingerprint on Wolverine #3, and like that's still crazy.
And then they came out with the price guide or their grading guide,
get a 9.6
and it says you can.
Fingerprint.
I don't think it should break color, but hey, who am I?
We're not CGC, so that's so funny. But anyway, Brewfront said that, or Christian said that it is his pet peeve.
I know.
And he said, I give that to you, or that book looks great, except for the poop on the cover. Which is really funny. Okay, here's another question that someone asked in the chat. Let me actually get to the actual question, because it was... in order to have a business of cleaning and pressing, are there some laws and paperwork related to the fact that you have someone's property to do service, or can I just do this on the side for extra income?
That is a good question.
I don't know if we know the answer to that question.
Well, no, it's something I've thought about because I did contemplate it. I could do that if I wanted to. I have the equipment. I have the skill. I know how to scale. That liability concerns me greatly. And yeah, you have someone else's property, and what if something happened in the mail? I think there is comic book insurance for ownership. I do not know if there is for pressing comic books.
That's another question someone had is about insurance. We'll get to that too.
Yeah, I do think this. I think that most of the time it should be fine without, I'd have some kind of agreement, even if it's a written tacit agreement. Like you haven't spelled out all kinds of addendums to a contract, but you have said, hey, just so you know, I'm not responsible for any damage that happens to your books, right? Or oh, you just popped a staple on a $20,000 comic book. How does that person get that back? I mean, okay, money's fine, but there's times that I don't want your money. I want my comic book. So you might not be able to replace it. And I think that kind of damage is very likely the more comic books you press. I think you can be incredibly careful. I have some comic books right now I'm not pressing because of the staples. I don't even want to take them out of the bag. Just because they're hanging on for dear life, I want to get them in a slab where they belong. Because those belong in a slab. If you can't take it out and open it, you should slab it. I mean, I'm just saying, if it's valuable. And I've got some that are very valuable that really are low grade. They might have one pop staple and the other one's hanging on, you know?
So we're not putting that.
So I do think that people like Joey Post in Florida, and there's some big people. I don't know how big Joey is, but I know he's been pressing comic books since before anyone else was like known to do it.
Is that the person everyone sends their books to him?
No, there's a couple.
Okay.
I mean, there are a couple. I know
Florida's the place.
I think that like Heritage sends their books somewhere else, and there's a few places that do high scale books in terms of like value. There's Captain Mike, and they have all the work they can handle, and he has a group of people that he recommends. And Captain Mike is a guy who wrote a couple books about cleaning and pressing. I would recommend to read, even if you adapt to do it a different way. Those books are worth to read, and they'll teach you a lot. Some of the best written books about that topic I've ever seen. And I don't use it 100%. I do some things different, but I started there, and then I kind of branched out and did some different things. I would check into liability. I would also, you can always cap out like what you do. Like, I'm not doing those books if you're not used to that genre, or I don't want to press anything that's worth more than $500 or $1,000 until you get an established relationship. Because usually what I find is that people will send their books to the same person all the time. I think it's a very difficult way to make a living, because you can be humming along doing a great job and all of a sudden not. And maybe you pressed a book wrong or did something and you ruined someone's book, and man, are they mad at you, and now you suck. And it's like you might have just like had an off day, you know. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do it. I think there's too much liability for the type of business that I have, and I love just doing my books. I do.
It's a lot better feeling if you damage your own book.
And I have.
Someone else's book.
I've damaged expensive books.
I've damaged books. I don't even press it clean.
She damages so many books.
That's not true.
She dropped an entire box of comic books.
I actually did do that.
I've never seen anything like it.
I was
in
just
my
loving it
life.
around. House of L Comics said, just found your channel. Is this your full-time job, or do you have a day job? This is our full-time job. Not like this.
This is our day job.
Not like this stream, but like
we stream
selling comic
24
books.
hours a day.
Could you imagine?
Golly.
We'd be really boring.
Yeah, no, we sell comic books full-time, but we're doing it in really deliberate ways. So it's not like we don't have a store, we don't have a brick and mortar, and I choose not to do that. I don't want my focus to be off the books. I think once you get a brick and mortar, it's like, well, what toys am I going to bring in, and what am I going to do this, and it's like just managing how you run that store. I'm not doing that. We're really focused on high grade vintage comics. That's what we do. High grade might be very fine near mint. You know, but we at least we'll have them. It's like Very Fine disappoints us. I just want you to know. It does. It's like, I don't want to sell Very Fines. I really want to sell high grade books. And
doesn't mean we don't have Very Fines to sell.
That's the thing.
Sure do.
That's the thing. We still have them, and I'll pick some, and I'll think they're all going to be like, Very Fine Near Men or higher, and all of a sudden there's a couple of 8.0s in there. I'm selling them if I've already started the process. Once we start that train moving, we will be selling this.
It just means the price is lower,
But we certainly don't want to bore anyone. And even though we know there are people that like things like that, we always have a couple. But we sell those at our shows. Like if we go to a one-day show, we're going to a show, Grit City, next month. My brother is going to come. My brother Danny is on the channel once in a while. And we're going to be doing some things like this, me and Danny, in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about real specific topics. One of the topics we're going to talk about is kind of relative to comic book pricing, but it's more about the comic book market and some of the expectations that people have and some of the realities that's out there. Hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah, and then we do, mainly we do claim sales on Instagram because he asked how we do our business. Mostly online. It's all
on
online.
Instagram, short boxed, and then that's it.
That's really it right now. Yeah,
even our what's it called? eBay. Our eBay store's closed. We're not selling anything. Yeah. Somebody just asked an interesting question. There are major defects you'll tolerate if it discounts the book. See, and that's good. Because
that's in response to what we were talking about with the color breaking fold.
It's good. I mean, because if I have a book like that, I still want to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's so important to always support other collectors and however they collect. I don't think that collecting high grade books is the only way to do it. It's the only way I like doing it. And that being said, there might be a book. I have some books that are 6.0 or 6.5 because they're so scarce or rare or whatever, that finding a higher grade copy would cost me 5 figures or more. So what is high grade? The highest grade I can get. Reasonably. But I totally get, there's a whole nother school of thought, well, I sure would like that book cheaper because I would like to own a copy of it. And I love that. I mean, when it comes down to I want to own that comic book, I can name that note in that song in one note.
I can name that note in one note.
I can name that note in one song.
Do you do anything special for short-term versus long-term storage of your books? It kind of goes along with someone else who asked how we handle our books if we're taking them out of storage. Do we rebag them?
Two different types of questions. You should rebag your books. They should be rebagged every so often. I would say every 10 years, but I've noticed after 2 or 3 years, they start to really get weird.
Probably depends on your environment, too. If you're in a really dry place,
that's right,
you probably don't need to do it as often. We're in a really humid,
yep,
wet place, so we have to
depends.
change ours
Are
more.
you keeping your books in a climate-controlled environment, or is the climate going up and down? Even if it's not extreme, it will impact the bags. We like to keep our boxes full. That's not always the case. And
we like to use short boxes because long boxes hurt our bodies.
Yeah.
I hate long boxes. We still have a lot of long boxes full of books, but we're trying to... they're so heavy.
We're migrating out.
They're awful. And it's hard to keep them full. It's easier to keep short boxes full so that they don't slump and the books don't bend and get damaged and stuff. So.
Yeah, long boxes are more work.
They really are.
Because you got to take out 50 books, and now you're going to have to move 50 books. And where are you getting those 50 books from? Are they coming from another box? And so short boxes are great. I like short boxes that don't have lips. So the short box should be straight on the inside and only have a hole for the handle, rather than on the inside it'll be cut halfway, and then it'll change. The elevation will be lower. So if the front of a book presses against it for a period of time, it will create a crease. The boxes we use, they're flat, and they cost a little more. Who do we use?
Gemini. We use Gemini.
I buy the Gemini short boxes. They're wider, so they'll take Mylars, and that's important.
And they have a thicker, what is it called? Handle.
Yeah.
So they don't hurt. Did you already say that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, something like that. Their handle actually kind of plugs into the bottom, where the other ones I'm talking about, even if they have anything there, it's only halfway. That's not good. It'll usually come up from the bottom, I think, where the whole side of the box is not protected. Where on Gemini, where the handles are, they have another slit
Right,
that makes
yeah.
them double insulated.
They're really nice.
So even if something hit the corner of it, it's not going to hurt the book.
They're the best boxes. Not sponsored.
Do we ever have books that get damaged in storage? Even with our knowledge, and Rachel is really in charge of that.
Books still get damaged. I'm so sorry.
No, but she this is why I love both my daughter and my employee, because she understands me. I'm out there picking books, and I might grab 400, and I'm going to do 100 of these are going to make our next sale. She's like, where'd you grab those from? And she's so good about it because she's keeping inventory. I mean, we have a physical inventory.
It has kind of lost me a little bit in the last couple months.
She told me last week, she goes, I think all is lost.
There's boxes that are organized and good, and then there's some that are not.
Because now I won't even look at CLZ, which is the software I use, because I know nope.
Someone said I actually prefer my Bronze Age horror to be low grade. That's
Okay.
super fair. I feel like it's probably a lot more affordable that way. You can get more books that way.
You're still not going to find everything.
I know, it's still going to be so hard to find,
But I
depending
get
on what
it.
they are. I think that that's like a really fair point to make too. It's not everyone cares about grade. There's a lot of people that collect comics that do not care about grade at all.
I'm down. I totally get that. I mean, it's like if you want to own the comic and you don't care what grade, you just saved yourself a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think that people, I mean, let's say that a Bronze Age horror book cost you $10 and very good. That's not unusual. Some of those are harder to find than others. If you're collecting really low grade books, that might be pricey, so it's like, but that might be in your budget because our budgets change over time. I'm old, so I'm super old.
Big surprise. You're so old.
I'm so old. So my budget's a little different, and I really can't spend a lot of money collecting books right now because I want to buy collections with that money and sell books and keep things moving. So the stuff I like is not inexpensive. Once in a while I find things for $30 or $40, but the things I really want, no.
Well, and like even though we focus on high grade books and we really like to focus on those, again, we still have a lot of low grade books that we still want people to be able to pick up
and they
at
do.
a good price.
Yeah, they do.
Hopefully
I've
offer
had
a lot
people
of those.
pick up stacks out of our dollar boxes.
Literally.
And we have some really good stuff in there too. So I always kind of like, it's almost like seeding the farm. I like putting like really nice books out there. Like someone's like, what's this doing in here?
Real Naga said, what would it take for you to consider letting go of the 9-4? And I laughed out loud when
Of
I read
what?
it initially.
Oh, that?
The House of Mystery.
I thought about it.
I just can't imagine you parting with that right now.
Look, I do this for a living though. So at some point I have to be pragmatic about it and then be clinical about it. Like, okay, what is the price of this book? The way I start that conversation is what would it get at auction? So 9.4 white pages, there's only 5 copies of 9.4. There's only 196. So it's in the top 6 copies out of maybe the 100 and something that are graded.
And how many of those are white pages?
I don't know if there's another white page 9.4. I've seen another 9.4 and it was off white. There's probably a couple out there hiding, but they're rare as hen's teeth. I'm just telling you. For whatever reason, they're just hard to find. I paid several $1,000s for that book years ago. I paid way over market, and it was a comic link purchase, so it was not registered, and that's why don't be deceived by, the last one that sold was, you don't know. Let me tell you, I don't even know if I bought the last copy. I think there's things happening behind the scenes for a lot of reasons, but I think that book would probably, would I sell it for $4,000? Let's start there. No. And this is the reason why. I do not think I could replace it for $4,000.
No, you couldn't.
So how much do I think I would have to secure in order to buy another copy if it ever came up and even get in the ballpark? I don't know. I think $5,000 starts getting there. Is it worth $5,000? No. I actually, I don't know. It's like, are you willing to roll the dice and let it go to auction is the big question. And I'm curious if you guys ever buy at auction, So you could have 2 people fighting it out and all of a sudden the price has doubled.
Yeah, it depends on who wants it.
Because you got two people with thick wallets and an idea in their mind that they're not going to let go of. That's how you get $250,000 for Marvel Spotlight #5. You get a couple people duking it out with big bankrolls, and I guarantee that book's, well, I don't know about guarantee, but I don't know if in my lifetime I'll ever see it get back to 250. Unless those guys are fighting it out for the same book again, you never know. And they still have that kind of money.
After all this time.
Yeah.
Someone asked a fun question. Best album, Power Slave or Peace of Mind?
Power Slave.
I can't remember who asked that, but there you go. That was an easy answer for you.
But I never kick Peace of Mind out of bed for eating crackers. I listen. She hates when I say that. So this is great. When you work in multi-generational workspaces, and I have my whole life, I remember I was in Oklahoma, and I was running an organization. I was in charge of an organization, and I was working with my HR staff because we had 5 generations. We had 5 generations in our workplace. And we also had bilingual. We had some people that were non-English speakers. It was a fascinating workplace, and I learned a lot about that. Our generations are obviously different. So
no way.
we spend almost equal time schooling each other and different methodologies. so like Rachel's like, don't say that. Don't do that. Don't show that.
And you don't see it or hear it or know about it. So there you go. You'll never know.
Yeah, she kind of sorts me out once in a while, and I'm sure I do with her. I'm probably not as intense as you are because you're
so intense.
She's not.
Someone said that they bought a Hulk 180. I can't see if it says 180 or 181 because there's a thing in the way. 181 in auction.
Yeah.
I think that's where those big books sell the most. I think like auctions. It makes more sense.
It does. I mean, one of the keys to selling comic books is how can you get the most eyes on it? You know.
Yeah, auction's the way to go.
I sell books in a way that there might be 40 or 50 people in that sale, and I know what I have. Believe me, I do. You know, but I also know what I put into it, and I know what I'm. You know, I want to keep things going. I'm not trying to. I think my methodology is I'm not trying to squeeze every dollar out of every book. If I did, it would both stress me out and make me sell half as much. So everything's not hot all at once. Sometimes people are more, gravitating towards things, or like all of a sudden someone shows up and they really like Alpha Flight, and you might have some. I don't know why I picked that series, but yeah.
Because everyone loves Alpha Flight. It's
so
favorite.
hard. I have multiple copies of every issue.
So
Let me know if you need a number 1. I got like a.
We got so many number 2 slab too. If you want a number 2 slab.
That has an adamantium.
It's a key that's not on the slab, which is also really
secret
fun.
Key.
Just like
if you ever
the
need like a
Zaniac
super cool. No.
Really cool Alpha Flight number 2. Joey, who was the person that asked about pressing, said, "Thanks a lot for your time. I'm practicing with a bunch of worthless vintage comics right now. About 10 to 15 minutes from where I live, there are 4 comic shops, and no one in the area does the service. Might be a good time."
No, that's different. I call that you work out a commercial agreement. I mean, you can work out a commercial agreement with them. Like, I'll do your pressing. I can do this many books for this much. Write a simple contract. I'm not responsible for damage. Because obviously, if you damage a bunch of books, they should not use you. And I would say that right to their face. Like, if the job I'm doing is not what you want, at any time you can cancel this. At any time, this does not require you to use my services beyond any day that you want to stop. As long as you pay me. I would say get paid first.
Yeah.
Every time.
Whenever you pressed one time for someone and you did half up front is how you did it initially.
Yeah. And I've been around business for a long time, and I've been around agreements for a long time. So, and even that, I did a lot of books for someone, and I really hated the way it turned out because the books were just not books I would pick.
Yeah. It's hard, too, when they're not, like, things that you get to choose.
That's the difference, is I pick what I press. Like, you have no idea. I told on our Instagram sale, I was telling people it took me 1,000 books to get these. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
I'm going through like, this has no redemption. This is now a $3 comic book. This is now a $1 comic book. And I just created all these stacks because I'm going through my inventory, and I really, like I said, I want everything to be high grade. So a lot of stuff hits the cutting room floor. Well, what happens if you're supposed to press books They send you books, and they have damage. I mean, it's like you really can't help them. So, can you get out every single spine stress, spine tick? No. I mean, there are some that are stubborn, and they're not going anywhere. And now you suck because it's not out. Oh, I'm sending mine to CGC, and this got a lower grade than I thought it was because you graded it wrong. So, there's a lot of stress involved in that. I think working for a store is better because they might want to do like large volumes of books just to make them present better so they can get more money. Because if a book presents better than a book that doesn't present well, it makes it more attractive to some people. Mm-hmm. Except that guy that wants to buy the low grade stuff because he's really looking for the low grade price.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So don't clean it up too much because I'm not trying to have you charge me double for the same book that you did not improve the grade. Because sometimes, like, a book will be waffly or whatever, and you press it, and it looks way better in hand, but the grade did not go up even a little. So,
David Bertman said, when you slash prices of the books that go unclaimed, does it bother you?
Most time, no.
We do price them to sell initially. Like, we don't...
Yeah,
we try to price it, like, the way it should be priced.
I'm trying not to rob myself. I'm not trying to give away stuff. I know what's going on, and I know what things can get. So I try to come in there low, but sometimes I think that it shows that I price things too high, that, oh, it should get that, but it's not getting that. So you're willing to hold on to it.
And you do that
for months, and I will on some books, and I'll be really transparent about it.
Some of them go in your PC. You're like, I'm just going to keep this because it's really nice, and I'm not going to see another
one. I'm not joking when I say this. That's true. I mean, I will hold them back, or I'll submit them. I have a stack of books to submit to CGC that I've had for a long time. I just keep putting it off. I'm not in a hurry. Funny thing is, I don't press it. Like, if I have a book that needs to be pressed, I won't press my book until the last minute. Like, am I selling it?
Until you have to.
There's a weird thing that I know it's improvable, and that's good enough for me. but it's not like I don't like press books. It's like I won't put my energy towards that. So yeah, I'm sorry.
What? Oh, that was it.
Okay, keep going.
Oh.
I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. I thought you were about to say another sentence and you didn't.
Yes.
No, it does not bother us. Also, like, it's completely random. Like, my dad does not even think he's going to cut prices. We always end up doing some books cut prices.
It's not fake.
Like, it's definitely like...
I don't sit there and say, like, okay, I'm going to ask for 18, and when no one wants it, I'm going to say 16. Any of you guys who've been to my claim sale, I'll go from 18 to 10.
He will cut down prices to $1.
It used to drive her crazy.
It shocks me, even now.
Because she's like, why'd you go so deep? I'm like, look, I don't feel like bickering. I don't want to go back and forth. It's like, if I cut it, I think it's going to sell. And if it doesn't, I just put it back away. I mean... Yeah. It goes in a $5 box.
And then sometimes we'll re-show it at a lower price. Like, that ends up happening too.
Yeah, so let's say I got to 14 on a $20 book and it didn't sell. Next time we bring it up, it'll be 12.
Well, we had a book, it was a Ghostwriter. It was a Ghostwriter book. And we had it at 50 because it was a near mint. It didn't sell at 50, so I think we sold it later for 30.
Okay.
So, like, that's like an example of...
Could I have sent it in and then all the software on the interweb says it's worth 100? Sure. Sure. Do those books sell? No, not so much. I mean, there's nothing like having a comic book that you put out there for a year, sits on eBay or somewhere, and because that's what everyone else has it priced at. That's why often during our claim sales, I'll say, if you have a moment, go ahead and look this up real quick. Because we actually look on eBay before our sales. Mm-hmm. And this is, right now they want $400 for this book. We're asking $190. I'm not going to ask for more because this person's delusional. I'm delusional enough without any assistance.
I don't need eBay to tell me.
I don't need eBay to tell me about what something should not cost. I already know what it should not cost.
Bill asked this question. What comic did you want?
Thanks, Collector Pete.
Yes, thank you. Oh yeah, thanks. What comic did you want the most as a kid but had to wait 30 years to get?
Oh, the one I haven't gotten yet. I would like a Showcase number 4. I've never had a copy. I would like Brave and the Bold number 28, first appearance of Justice League. I've never had a copy. I always wanted a Freak Brothers number 1. I had it and sold it. First print, by the way. I think I have another printing around here somewhere now. I like weird stuff. But I was a DC guy. Yeah, those are the types of books. I'm not I don't want a Batman one or a Superman one.
Do you have any of them that you wanted when you were a kid? Do you have any now?
Every horror book I have. That's the stuff I read.
Oh, okay. So all the House of Mystery, House of Secrets,
I read
Witching
those.
Hour, all those.
Even ECs. When I was reading EC reprints, I never wanted the originals. I didn't even think about that. I read those for the stories. I read them for the stories. I didn't buy them for the covers. It was later on that, like, crime suspense stories. There's some of these great covers, decapitation covers, drowning covers, hanging covers. Okay, I want to read the story. I was beyond the cover from the second I saw it. I'm like, oh, I want to read that story. So I think that there was books I grew up wanting to read, and now there's books that I have that I want to look at.
To just stare at and hold.
I want to hold it like a baby.
What book was it that you had up in your room? You were like, I just need that to be on my nightstand.
Oh, I've done that a couple times.
Like, I just had to hold on to that.
My wife left. I watched Comic Tom just put out a really cool video today with him and Jeff, Golden Age Guru, and Fire Guy Ryan all going into a comic store and buying comics. It was actually really entertaining, real fun. But they were talking about Godzilla. And he's like, hey, which Godzilla is that the Space Needle? I'm like, number two. It's number 2.
I know which one it is. It's number 2.
And so they're pulling it out and talking about it. And I'm thinking, I had a 9.8 of that. And then when the Godzilla movie came out like 2 years ago, true story, I had like a super high grade, all 9.8 slabbed. I had about half of the Godzilla run. I put them all around the TV. And I like put my one with the Space Needle. I'm like, I like to look at this one the most. My wife thought I'd lost my mind. I'm like, hey, what else am I going to do with these? It's time to take them out because there you are.
It's the movie time.
I just let them watch a movie with me.
So funny.
That's true. I really did that.
Amazing. I see some comic issues that are non-keys that are slabbed. Is there a reason for it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of mistakes that happen. and I mean, people get something slabbed and they think it'll make it valuable. That's not true. Sometimes it devalues it. You end up taking something you might have sold for $3 and then all of a sudden you spend $28 slabbing it and now you can only sell that for $20, so it just cost you all that money, right? So I have a lot of non-key books that are slabbed that are valuable, you know. They might not be what everyone wants, but golly, I'm thinking of like some issues of Flash or Batman, or there's all kinds of things from the Bronze and Silver Age that I'd like a slab copy of that.
And like we were getting book slabbed in hopes of getting a 9.8 because a 9.8 Copper Age book is going to be worth more than a raw book.
Well, I'll
quote
say,
unquote.
Well, you're right. So sometimes a 9.8 Copper Age book is the only version of that book worth any money. So you buy a $5 book, right? Some rando Green Lantern first appearance. You'll see on eBay, and if you look on cover price, it's like raw, $8. 9.8, $105. And you're like, so I take this $5 book and I get it slabbed and I get a 9.8. Now it's worth no.
In theory, that sounds
not necessarily the way it works. So the one that you're seeing for $8 might be very fine. Not that I haven't bought things raw, got it, cleaned and pressed them, send them in and got 9.8s. I have. It's a crapshoot. I mean, there's just a lot of there's a lot of ways to fail there, a lot of points of failure. So I think that if you're buying slabs and you're not sending them in, you should be selective and understand what you're doing if you don't want to lose money on them. Right now is not a great time. I mean, I can buy a collection. This is a true story. And let's say I'm paying 60% on slabs, 60% of value. But 6 weeks later, they're worth 20% less. Have I seen that? And I'm talking keys. Yeah, I've seen it. So it's dangerous. I mean, if your money is really like you don't have a lot to spend, I would be careful. I mean, I'm buying slabs. I'm buying anything. Just being careful and kind of knowing what you're doing. The more you know, I've kind of lost FOMO in my life. I'm sure I still have some, but I'm really a lot more strategic and a lot more methodical about how I do things. We just got a book today. It looked great, and it had a folded corner. Mm-hmm. To me, it ruined the book. And I have to go back and look at the pictures and see if it was like that. It's almost not worth trifling with it, but it's it's a Wrightson cover that's kind of obscure, and I bought a couple of them. I have more coming. But did I buy it to slab it? No.
We don't really buy anything to slab it anymore. That's not really our...
I've slabbed thousands
intention.
of books too. It's not like it's something I'm not hating on slabbing. And I have books like my FF #1. I do not want to sell that raw.
No, yeah.
I want to make sure that it can get a blue label it, right? Which means it's been restored.
Your wife is here.
I just want to make sure she can get in because it sounds like she's struggling.
Oh.
So like that's one of the reasons. The other is if you have a book, that's worth a lot of money, let's say more than $5,000, more than $10,000. It's best to have it slabbed. I know people that buy books like that raw, believe it or not. I just think that the most efficient way to sell a book like that would be to slab it, and possibly auction it or trade it or if you have friends. But I want to get a professional grade too, especially low grade. Like the difference between a 2.0 and a 3.0 on an FF1, Avengers 4, it's pretty significant.
I actually forgot someone asked, where was that? Oh, I got a first preview of a Supergirl, really nice but detached cover. Should I send it to CGC, and how much will they mark off for that? If I was thinking because it would be a 2.0. It won't get above a 2.0 with a detached cover. Probably a 1.8 with a detached cover. It depends on everything else.
And down from there?
Yeah. And it does have rusted staples. I went through and I graded all of like 400 Golden Age books, and most of them had detached covers. Partially detached, you can get higher, but fully detached, you can't get above the 2.0.
Can't get more than, it's usually a pop staple, 1.5 from whatever the rest of the grade is a general ballpark. My brother learned that because he had popped a staple got popped on a book that was previously graded, and when he sent it back in, it got a grade and a half less for the pop staple.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love those little tests.
That test sucked.
That's not a fun test to learn.
I don't want to pop that staple in the first place.
Let me see. What do you think of the con variant? I don't know what that means.
So every con has some kind of variant that's just sold at the con.
Oh.
I don't focus on that stuff. I really don't. Modern books that are coming out right now are not that interesting to me. Not that they're not interesting, and not that I'm not like paying attention to what's going on. I know the Spider Boy.
Oh yeah, the Spider Boy.
I know the Spider Boy. I not for 1 second wanted to buy one of those because I got so stung in 2021. I was buying a lot of new books.
We still have a lot of them.
I bought a lot of variants, and I lost money on 80% of them.
They're so expensive.
I was paying too much, but I got a somewhat decent deal, but not a great deal. Have a lot. Got a box full of them. I got a bunch of stuff like that from 2021. It was me coming back into comics, and I learned a great lesson. But what I did come away with was 6,000 modern books from 2021. That every time, like they announce, like, hey, this book from 2021 just blew up. I'm like,
do I have it? Those are the ones we actually have in CLC.
Why?
In there.
Why do I not have this book?
That's the one we don't have. What was the with Miss Time, that cover? We have every other cover variant of that timeless #1 except for the Miss Time one.
Miss Minutes,
whatever.
Yeah.
The clock lady.
She told me that she ran out. My local comic store told me she ran out and she could not get me a copy. I lost my mind.
It was the only one we wanted. There is a really cool Kang one, but it's not worth anything.
But here, to her credit, I didn't order it in advance. So I didn't go out there and say, hey, I know this is going to be cool. I didn't. I only knew it when you guys knew it. And when did you know it? When I knew it.
When it was already too late.
Which came first? I don't know what happens. It's like somebody on eBay buys something for $100 and all of a sudden everyone thinks that's the idea. But
that's when we were trying to do anything.
I still think it's the best cover by far.
Oh, out of all of them. There's like 10.
And it's one of those things, if it was worth nothing, I'd buy it because I think it's fun.
Which movie is best, Superman 1 or Superman 2?
Wow. Seeing how I haven't watched either one in over 20 years, Superman 1 kind of turned everything around, didn't it? I mean...
That was the movie, right?
Yeah.
the movie.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see him. So
You were
I
looking
have
for
to
everything. I mean, you're looking for everything to be encompassed in one movie, which is tough. And Superman 1 came out before comic books got cool. Because what happened was, like, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, at the very end of their series, Spider-Man, when they the death of Gwen Stacy, and they took the comic code off. Comics started getting a little more edgy. They started dealing with social issues. Before that, the stories were kind of dumb. And it's like, I get it. I mean, if you read the Legion and stuff, Bouncing Boy and this and that, and the stories were fun, and that's what it was. They were fun. As the 70s came on, they took a different tone, and I think that movie kind of followed the old tone.
Of, like,
where
goofy,
later
silly.
on, like the last Superman movie, definitely followed something darker.
That's what people want. The dark.
I really think everyone's been waiting for Endgame when it came out. That's why that movie is one of the biggest movies of all time.
The
It's
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what a comic movie is supposed to be like.
I feel like all the Avengers movies are like that.
But see, I think Peacekeeper, the show that came on
HBO, right?
I
Or
think,
Showtime?
is it on HBO?
Or Showtime. It's one of those.
The Boys, Peacekeeper. Man, what they're doing today is so incredible. The Superman movies, the first Batman movie, they were fun. Everyone went. I mean, when you went to a theater, popcorn was flying in the air. People clapping their hands, standing up at the end. So opening night at the movies. So they were big hits, but I would say Superman 1, but I don't remember what Superman 2 is about right now.
Sounds like it's probably the worst of the
I like
two.
George Reeves. I like...
Don't ask him to pull a name out of a hat.
I'm the
'cause he
worst
won't
at name.
remember it.
Don't hold that against me.
He likes the guy in that movie. So
Well, yeah, he ended up becoming handicapped, but he was a good Superman. I liked him.
Oh, I don't even know if I know what actor that is. If you collect them to read, doesn't sending them to CGC and entombing them in plastic destroy their value? It depends on how you value a comic.
No, it doesn't destroy their value. It destroys your ability to read them.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your collecting style. There's a lot of different collecting styles out there.
No, I think
what
if you
books you
like to
want.
read books, I personally prefer raw books every day of the week. Something stresses me out about looking through boxes of slabs way more than boxes of raw comics that are like in Mylars.
Oh, I was thinking you were saying like raw books, like not even in a bag.
No, I
Those
think
they give me the same energy.
no, yeah.
It's like I don't want to break a slab and I don't want to break a book.
That's true. No, I think that if you're really into reading books and you like high grade books, I got lots of friends that don't slab and they know how to take care of a book. I way more appreciate a book in a killer Mylar that has like a couple backing boards behind it that's presenting like crystal clean. Slabs, I don't know. There's something about them that makes me not enjoy as much to look at them. But like I have some slab books I'm not cracking. I'm not going to crack them out.
Where there are people we know that would crack them out.
There are some books I would crack out, but it's like, as someone who sells comics, I mean, it's going to not be as easy to sell once it's cracked. So, anyway.
Man Thing or Swamp Thing, and why?
Swamp Thing, DC, next.
House. Next, no reasoning behind it, I guess.
Well, there are two different types of creatures, but I really like...
Is it because of Bernie Wrightson? It's because of Bernie Wrightson.
No, it's because of the run. Because when he got into like the first appearance of John Constantine, and Hellblazer, and then just some of the things that happen to the story, and it ties in with like Sandman. And there were so many awards won from the writing in the '80s for Swamp Thing. I think Swamp Thing's cool. I've always liked Swamp Thing.
I think he looks better than Man Thing. Because Man Thing's got the weird thing
Yeah,
on his
but
face.
it depends on who's drawing him. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got
I like the way Swamp Thing looks better.
like got a calamari face
He's like a turkey.
with red eyes. No, I'm really a DC guy. Not that I don't like Marvel, I do, but I really like non-superhero stuff.
Well, an early
so.
Man Thing is cool, but I like Swamp Thing better too.
I buy them. I mean, I
have 'em.
definitely have collected them, and I don't have any key issues, but I'm really looking for what is it? Fear 19, the first appearance of Howard the Duck. Is that right? Yeah. I really want that book.
Which one do we have?
Which
So
one?
we have the Man-Thing one?
I don't have the first appearance of Howard the Duck.
No, we have the Man-Thing Fear issue.
I've got the 40-cent version. There was a 20-cent
pedigree one. We have the pedigree one.
Yeah, it's not the 20-cent version though. There's two Man-Thing runs, and I think they're 7-8 years apart. Yeah.
Christopher Reeves is the actor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, I said George Reeves.
He was halfway there.
Well, there was another Superman. Wasn't that George Reeves from the 50s? I love that Superman show.
Well, how are they both Reeves? That seems unlikely.
Tell me, Bill.
Bill, who did it?
Who was the original? Wasn't it George? I'm pretty sure it's George Reeves.
That just seems unlikely. I don't know, though. 2 people with Reeves, and they both played Superman.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. Obscure writes in Asylum by chance? I don't understand.
Asylum.
Like, do we have that? Is that what you're asking? You asked that a while ago.
Yeah.
George is right. It's George Reeves, though, Bill? Uh-huh. That's so weird. That's so weird that they had the same last name.
They should have
been related. Gen 5 is a crazy show. I have never heard of it.
I'm loving it. My wife likes it.
Is that the one that you're talking about?
It's The Boys, but it's like a college for superheroes.
You did tell me
I'm
about
digging
that.
it. Hey, man, I like The Boys. There's something I'll say real quick. I watch this. That's how I take my content. I'm not so much about reading comics. I don't read as much as I used to. I watch a lot of video content, but all superhero and Star Wars content.
Everyone's saying they're both Reeves. Why? How is that possible? That seems so unlikely. It's fine, though.
So I'll ask you guys watching, who do you prefer, George Reeves or Christopher Reeves?
Which Reeves is the Reeves for you?
I like George Reeves. I like the guy who played Jimmy Olsen. I liked that whole cast. Perry White was in every episode. Great Caesar's Ghost.
What's the guy's name who was the host of Ripley's Believe It or Not? He was also Superman. He's
Ripley?
My favorite Superman.
You mean Ripley himself?
No. He didn't look like Superman. The guy who did the hosting on Ripley's, he was also Superman.
Was that a show?
Yes.
I don't remember no Ripley. I'm sure I watched it.
For someone who loves Ripley's.
I like to read it. I like to read the soft back.
I love the show so much. Anyway, if you know who hosted Ripley's Believe It or Not, who was also Superman, let us know in the chat, because I don't know.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, what's his name?
He was the same guy in Witcher.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love him.
You know how I be.
He's great.
Names.
We don't know his name. Do you believe in the Superman curse? I don't know what that is.
Yes. Christopher
Reeve, not Reeves.
Thank you.
I knew it was different.
That's close.
Everyone's really mad at us about that.
Good work.
I don't know about the Superman curse. What is that?
I don't either.
Let us know. You mentioned Obscure Bernie. Oh, piqued my interest. Okay. I don't remember it mentioning that. You probably said that, and I just didn't.
Can you grab the book? Is it close?
What book?
The
one that you just got? Is that Bernie?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Let me find it.
So I got it.
I just thought it was because there was a pumpkin on it.
Bought this book on eBay.
Oh, where is it?
You had put it aside somewhere.
I did not.
You did it.
Is it in here?
You did. You're packing up. I thought you just said it right there. We're not. Oh, is it right here, Rachel?
Oh, I see it.
No, and thank you for asking. I'd say the same thing. You got something obscure. Can you be more specific? This is Secrets of Haunted House number 44. Let me see how I do this. Such a nice book. Except
Dean Cain. Yes.
Dean Cain. Yeah,
yes, I love Dean Cain.
It's just I pulled it out, but it's got a color breaking corner crease, which is like the kiss of death. But
it's really hard with the ring light. I thought that you got this because pumpkin time and Halloween sale.
I got this because it's another Frazetta pumpkin. It's not my favorite Frazetta cover.
It's Bernie Wrightson. He does that a lot. He says Frank Frazetta instead of Bernie Wrightson.
I'll tell you why. Because they remind me of each other. With Frazetta being here and Wrightson being here. And I've been doing that since I was a kid, and it makes me feel about that big.
Superman curse is like the King Tut curse. Bad stuff happens. Many actors who played Superman had tragic accidents.
Oh, that's interesting.
I didn't know about that. Is Dean Cain okay? Someone check in on Dean Cain.
I wonder if Brainiac 5 has something to do with that.
I don't know what that means. Okay, yeah, a lot of people knew about the Superman curse. I don't know why we didn't know that. I feel like there's another curse.
Maybe I did and I forgot. There is King Tut curse.
Well, I thought there was another one.
Nope, there's only 2 curses.
That's all that exists.
Just 2 in the world.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions? I think we answered everything. I think
I think we've talked a lot. I feel like
which Batman actor is your favorite? We have talked for a really long time.
God, I've liked them all. I really have.
What's his name in the Tim Burton ones?
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
What's his name? He was in...
We don't know names. You guys are really bad at names.
I do know names, but not right this second.
Not off the top of my head. I love him. He's great as Batman.
Him.
The Tim Burton Batman is my favorite.
I did like the Tim Burton version.
I also just love that Danny DeVito is Penguin. He's the best Penguin.
Back then, everyone on Earth, if you had a pulse, or if you lived in Las Vegas anyway,
thank you.
You went to go see Batman.
Comics. I didn't know that.
What was the...
Nothing.
Okay.
Michael Lesson is the best. I don't know that Batman.
I don't either.
Because that's not the one. Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's my favorite, I think.
He's pretty good.
I like Michael Keaton, though. I've always liked...
actor.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I liked the new Batman, but that movie was dark. That was a dark movie.
I kind of wish they'd get to the detective part of Batman more often.
Everyone's laughing at the fact that we can't remember people's names.
Who? What? My brother puts up with me because here's a guy that remembers every issue, like who penciled it, right?
we just look at each other, we're like, oh yeah, that one guy,
I'm
and
like,
then we just keep going.
You know that book, that series, that one book, you know, the one I like, and thank God he knows me so well. He's like, are you talking about... Or I'll say like the wrong number for something. Every time he corrects me, it just keeps going. I know in the back of his mind, he's like, God damn it, can't you remember anything? I mean, anything?
And the answer is no, we can't.
No, I'm like a savant. All of a sudden, I'll be like, I'll remember 20 things in a row. And that's over.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's it. Unless you had anything else you want to talk about.
I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for a little bit. It's not funny. I will tell you guys a very personal story about that. I went to a leadership development thing. It's kind of like a high ropes, right? It's like really intense. 3 days of people just being really mean to you so you become a better person.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that sounds
really
awful.
Good. Some people said, that's a cult. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good one because I'm turned out. Let's have a great day. I was in. But one of the exercises that they had is we were in a group of like 14 people on a mountaintop in Nevada. I flew there from Oklahoma, brought my whole team. We had all these people from different companies. Really expensive training. Look at me now. So we're in this training, and some of the exercises were so difficult, but this one was the worst. Big circle, about 14 people. They said, okay, what you're going to do is this is an awful story. I can't believe I'm telling it.
Why are you doing this?
Because this is good. I share of me with you. What we're going to do is each one of you are going to come into the middle of the circle and tell every person here something that you've noticed as positive and something you think they should work on. And do it like this. If it's this person, you say, Joe, it's been really nice knowing you. I've really got this. So I get to the first person. I'm like, I don't remember your name. And the trainer, these trainers were great, but boy, this was tough. He goes, okay, so if you don't remember their name, this is how you do it. You are not important enough to me for me to remember your name. And so, how many names do you think I got right?
0.
None. By the end of that, I felt, about that big. I'm like, that was, and it's never left me, and I haven't become one iota better at names. What did I get out of that? Nothing.
We still don't know anyone's name ever.
I did not improve at all.
I'm supposed to be the one that remembers. Joey had one last question.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the press that you have and the ones that swing? Any pros and cons? I didn't even know there were ones that swing.
Sure. There's some
that come together whenever you close it?
How's that go?
I don't know.
So I have clamshells. And there's some that kind of pivot.
Oh, okay.
They pivot like this.
Yeah.
So you pop it off, and it lifts up, and then you move it to the side. I don't think there's a difference. One thing I would pay attention to is how much pressure you're putting on a book. You really can't put too little pressure, because let's say you put too little pressure and you don't like a result, you can go up a little bit. If you put too much pressure, the book will start to swallow the staples. It'll start to bulge. You can put too much pressure on a book. Really, the goal for me, if I'm cleaning and pressing a book, is that book you should not be able to tell. That's the whole point, is like you're only fixing the most obvious things that are easily fixed. You can't fix color breaks, and you can't fix stains like that. So pressing, I think that aspect of it is a lot of work. I mean, it took me a long time to, when I'm closing a press, I know when it feels right. And if it's too hard, I'll readjust it 5 times, because this book might be a different width.
Yeah,
than
just
the last book I worked on.
and...
Depends on pages, depends on what you're using on the inside and how you're using it. I use the same paper, but sometimes I remove pieces because the book has too many pages and it's going to bulge too much. So I believe there's a lot of work to doing this thing right, to getting to the point where you're truly improving the books, but not, putting them in a position where they're altered. That's all you're doing is kind of like ironing your suit for work. Never
Look,
ironed my
is
suit.
a comic book.
Yeah, like
and you
your
don't
pants.
really iron it like a suit at all. It's actually not like that.
If you were to iron your suit pants with an iron that's too hot, it leaves like this shiny spot.
Or you burn a hole
And it's
it.
never going to go away.
Because it burned it.
So now you got shiny leg. And you know what I mean if you wear dress clothes.
Is that a business term, shiny leg?
Well, if you saw someone coming up and her legs are all shiny, you know that they used a too hot iron on those polyester bands.
That's really funny.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's so goofy. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I'm getting delusional. We are doing a claim sale on Monday, so we'll see you guys over there on Instagram. And
I hope this was somewhat beneficial. I don't know how it could have been, but we enjoyed listening to you guys, and yeah.
Anyway, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great weekend.
See you guys next time.
Bye.